She turned heartbreak into history and 27 seconds into a cultural anthem. In 2008, a teenage Taylor Swift received a phone call that would last no longer than the length of a commercial break. 27 seconds. That's all it took for Joe Jonas to end their relationship, and all it took for Taylor to immortalize the pain in a song that millions would later scream out loud, forever and always. For most people, heartbreak means silence. For Taylor, it became lyrics, and the start of a storytelling legacy unlike any other. Throughout her life and career, Taylor Swift has done something almost mythic. She's used her deepest wounds as fuel for art that heals others. From the quiet apology of Back to December to the raw fury of Dear John and the cinematic sorrow of All Too Well 10-minute version, each melody is a memory, each chorus a confession. But behind the platinum records and stadium lights lies a pattern far more intimate, a string of lovers, public breakups, and whispered accusations, all woven into ballads that have defined a generation. Some fans cheer her resilience, others question her motives. Yet no one can deny the power of her pen, or the pain behind it. Today on Bright Minds Global, we dive into the beautiful, brutal truth of Taylor Swift's love life, not through gossip, but through the very songs she wrote, the rise, the heartbreak, the silence, and the songs. Because in the end, her relationships may have ended, but her stories, they live forever. Before she was the voice of heartbreak for an entire generation, Taylor Allison Swift was just a girl growing up on a Christmas tree farm in Reading, Pennsylvania. Born on December 13, 1989, into a family that valued ambition and creativity, Taylor's upbringing blended rustic charm with quiet privilege. Her father, a financial advisor, and her mother, a former marketing executive, nurtured her early curiosity and confidence. But it wasn't financial comfort that shaped her most. It was the pull of performance. From the moment she could speak, Taylor was drawn to storytelling. By age 9, she was performing in theater productions. By 10, she had started writing poetry. But everything changed when she picked up a guitar at 12 and began composing songs. That was the turning point, the moment a young girl turned her thoughts inward and found, in music, a place to put her feelings. What followed was a journey of relentless determination. Inspired by the likes of Shania Twain and Faith Hill, Taylor begged her parents to support her dream of becoming a country singer. Unlike many aspiring stars, she didn't wait to be discovered. She chased it down. With demo tapes in hand and a heart full of hope, she performed at karaoke contests, county fairs, and anything that offered a stage. It wasn't long before her family made the bold decision to relocate to Nashville, Tennessee, America's country music capital, so Taylor could be closer to her dream. At just 14, Taylor became the youngest songwriter ever hired by Sony ATV Music Publishing. Her lyrics were sharp beyond her years. Producers took note not only of her voice, but her pen, one that already knew how to twist pain into poetry. In 2006, her self-titled debut album introduced the world to a curly-haired teenager with a guitar and a knack for brutally honest storytelling. This was no accident. This was destiny, crafted note by note, word by word. From the quiet Pennsylvania farm to the bustling studios of Nashville, Taylor Swift was always headed for the stage. But even as the spotlight found her, it would be the shadows of love and loss that gave her songs their deepest resonance. They weren't just boyfriends. They were verses, bridges that built the soundtrack of a generation. For Taylor Swift, love has never been a private affair. It has been poetry, pain, and power. And every relationship left behind not just a memory, but a melody. It began with a bang. Joe Jonas, 2008. He ended things with a 27-second phone call. For most, that would be a humiliating footnote. But Taylor turned it into Forever and Always, a high-voltage anthem of betrayal that made teenage heartbreak feel like Shakespearean tragedy. The song wasn't just a burn, it was a blueprint for what was to come. Taylor wasn't just going to fall in love, she was going to narrate the fall. Then came Taylor Lautner, one of the few peaceful chapters. They met filming Valentine's Day, and when it ended, it did so quietly. But even peace made it to her pen. Back to December was Taylor's rare apology song, a melancholic piano ballad where she confessed regret, a tonal shift that surprised critics and endeared her to many. Vulnerability had layers, and she was unafraid to explore them. But nothing compared to the storm that followed John Mayer. 12 years her senior, Mayer was known as a bad boy long before Taylor came along. What happened between them remains murky. But Dear John was clear as day. "Don't you think 19's too young to be messed with?" she sang, her voice trembling with rage and sorrow. Mayer called the song humiliating. Fans called it devastating. In that moment, Taylor wasn't just a girl scorned. She was a woman wounded, and she gave the pain a name. Then, Jake Gyllenhaal. 3 months together, but the emotional aftermath lingered for years. All Too Well 10-minute version isn't just a song, it's an autopsy. She sings of a forgotten scarf, of red flags ignored, of youth exploited. "You kept me like a secret, but I kept you like an oath." It was cinematic, brutal, and so specific that fans didn't need a name. They knew. Jake became the villain in a narrative too beautiful to be fiction. The internet turned him into a meme, a metaphor, a memory they wouldn't let die. Brought chaos and snow. After their volatile romance, paparazzi captured Taylor crying alone in Central Park, an image that haunted tabloid covers. I Knew You Were Trouble became her musical revenge, laced with electronic drops and raw emotion. But time healed. The two would later be seen talking amicably, perhaps proof that not every bridge stays burned. And then there was Calvin Harris, her longest relationship at the time. 15 months of glamour, collaboration, and controversy. After they broke up, it was revealed that Taylor secretly wrote, "This is what you came for," under a pseudonym. Calvin denied it. The internet exploded, Twitter feuds ensued. But behind the headlines was something more personal, a woman who gave her art to love and was denied the credit. Tom Hiddleston came next, a whirlwind romance that began immediately after her breakup with Calvin. Public hand-holding, global getaways, paparazzi overload. Some said it was a PR stunt, others said it was real. Taylor never confirmed either way. What she did confirm by silence was that it ended quickly and quietly. Finally, Joe Alwyn, a 6-year love story, perhaps the most significant of them all. This time, she hid him from the cameras. No matching outfits, no red carpet kisses, just lyrics. Entire albums, Lover, Folklore, Evermore, were soaked in his presence. Fans adored the mystery. They hoped this was the one. But in 2023, the fairy tale faded. The breakup was confirmed. There was no song. Not yet. But they knew it was coming. And that's the thing with Taylor Swift. You never really lose her. Not if you've ever touched her heart. Because one day you'll hear yourself in a verse, see yourself in a bridge, and realize you were never just a man. You were a muse. After years of emotional upheaval, red carpet makeups, and high-profile breakups, Taylor Swift did something radical. She disappeared. No longer the teenage girl writing songs in her diary for the world to hear, Taylor retreated from public life in 2016, following a whirlwind of press scandals, celebrity feuds, and online harassment. For a moment, it seemed like the girl who had made heartbreak into art might have had enough. But instead of silence, she returned with Reputation, an album of vengeance and vulnerability, a sonic reinvention that reclaimed her narrative. It was Taylor unfiltered, unafraid, and unapologetic. Yet even as she roared back into the spotlight, she was changing. Gone were the daily paparazzi photos and headline romances. In their place, intimacy, discretion, and storytelling on her own terms. With Joe Alwyn, she lived a quieter life, far from the flashing cameras. Their relationship remained largely off-limits to the press, a choice that allowed her to write with more freedom than ever before. Her subsequent albums, Lover, Folklore, Evermore, and Midnights, were not about spectacle, but about soul. Lyrics became poetry, sounds became atmosphere, and for the first time in years, Taylor was not chasing charts, she was chasing herself. Beyond music, she took control of her legacy. She began re-recording her early albums, a move born from a bitter battle over ownership rights. Taylor's version wasn't just about business, it was about reclaiming her voice. Every chord, every breath, every lyric now belonged to her. In the public eye, Taylor transformed from a pop princess into a cultural architect. She directed her own music videos. She won accolades for her documentaries. She spoke out politically, something she once avoided, and became an advocate for artists' rights and women's empowerment. As of now, she's once again dominating the world stage with the Eras Tour, a spectacle of color, choreography, and catharsis. It's not just a concert, it's a journey through every version of herself, from the wide-eyed country girl to the battle-hardened survivor. Yet despite the lights and applause, Taylor Swift remains, at her core, the same storyteller from Pennsylvania. She still writes at night, still makes sense of chaos through melody, still turns loss into legacy. She no longer needs a man to define her music, but every note she sings reminds the world she once did, and she made it unforgettable. From a 27-second breakup call to a 10-minute ballad that defined heartbreak for a generation, Taylor Swift has turned the most intimate wounds of her life into global anthems. Her story is not just about fame, not just about failed romances. It is about transformation, of pain into power, of loss into language, of love into legacy. She began as a teenager with a guitar and a diary full of emotions. She rose to fame by telling the truth, raw, unfiltered, and sometimes messy. Along the way, she loved hard, fell harder, and faced a storm of judgment few artists have survived. But she never stopped writing, never stopped reflecting, and never stopped turning the page. Taylor's romantic past may read like a tabloid timeline, but her music tells a deeper story, a story of a woman learning to understand herself, one heartbreak at a time. She has lived through betrayal, public ridicule, reinvention, and redemption. Through it all, she didn't just endure, she documented. And now we ask you, which Taylor Swift song got you through your hardest moment? Which of her heartbreaks resonates most with your own story? Because if there's one thing Taylor has taught us, it's this. You can't control how love begins. You can't always stop how it ends. But you can choose what it becomes. And sometimes, if you're brave enough, you can turn it into a song the world will never forget. Leave a comment with your favorite Taylor Swift lyric about love or heartbreak. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow Bright Minds Global for more untold stories behind the world's most iconic stars.